Happy Friday, guys. I hope you are having an amazing day and are ready for this final school day before we get, well, I guess we've kind of had, it kind of feels like a really long break, but Saturday and Sunday are 2 rest days for you guys, so that's always nice. But I hope you're excited for this Friday and are ready to continue with our plan. So we developed our problem, which was the town of Juliana wants to reduce its use of non-renewable energy. We planned our solution, we made our model, and now we're gonna test our model. So the thing about this is we can't necessarily run an actual test with our models, but so it's gonna be more of a scenario of the tests that happen for your model. So I was super happy seeing all of your guys' artwork and the effort that you guys put into your designs. Some of them were really, really nice. Well, I loved all of your guys', but some of you guys went above and beyond, so I really appreciate that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys what happened when you test your model. So for most of you, your results are going to be different depending on how many solar panels you added to your houses. So for this next part, so I'm just turning the page, guys. Remember, you don't need your notebook. I'm writing all of this on a notebook because it's easy for me to keep track of what I'm doing with you guys. But it doesn't have to be all on the same page. I just want you to take a picture of your work once you're done and upload that so I can see it like you guys did with the previous assignment. So we just finished up the make your model, and this is what you're gonna reference when you do the test of your model. So I'm gonna go ahead and just write test the model. On the top, just like that, because that is the next part of our engineering process. So we're gonna test our model. So I'm gonna list what happened during your test, and you're gonna see how these factors affect your model. Like I said, some of you guys added more solar panels than others, so your results are gonna be different. And I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys an example of what that's gonna be. But for right now, I'm just gonna list what happened when you tested your model. So you guys added the solar panels, added a water dam to the town of Juliana, and then you guys tested it out for the year to see what would happen within those weather conditions, or what basically happened. Did it make your town more sustainable? Were you able to provide enough energy? And what ended up happening was that the town of Juliana ended up experiencing a serious drought. So we had a drought. I'm gonna list that. And it reduced the amount of energy that our dam provided by 100 people. So remember that the dam provides water for 200 people, but because of the drought we had, it only provided energy for 100 people. But because of that serious drought, we ended up upping the amount of solar energy that we had. So instead of only having solar energy for, remember it was 50%, so for 6 months out of the year, we ended up having the sun all year round. So all 12 months had sun. So there's no change in the amount of people that each solar panel provided energy for, because they were performing at maximum capacity, so no change. So I tested my model. These are the 2 things that happened. So I had a serious drought, and it reduced the amount of energy it provided for people by 100. So I'm noting that right there. And then my 12 months were full of sun, so there was no change. The amount of energy that my solar panels were supposed to produce, they ended up producing, because there was no change in that. So now, considering that, you're gonna go back and look at your model and see if your model is still practical, or what you can do to fix your model. So you're gonna end up creating a new model based off of how this affects your model. So let's say that in my model I'm just gonna go back to my other page and just draw in what remember, this is just an example. Not everybody had this on their page, and that's totally fine. I'm gonna go ahead and just draw in where my dam would be. So my dam I would want right up here because I'd want at the top of my river. And then I'm going to add, that would have been for 200 people. And then I added, let's say 4 solar panels. And I'm gonna call these boxes right here my solar panels. But again, a lot of you guys went more intricate with your artwork, which was amazing. And you guys just went ahead and drew your solar panels on top of your houses, and that was great. So this right here is what I thought my model would be. But when I actually ended up testing my model, it didn't work out, because if this got reduced by 100, that means that this is 100, this was 100. I'm only providing enough electricity for 200, and I need to provide electricity for 300. So after my test, I reflected that I have to come back and change something on my model. So I want you guys to look at your model and see what you have to change. So if you have more than enough solar energy because you added a lot of solar panels, then you don't have to change your model, and you can just tell me my model was successful because it still provided energy for the 300 people. But if it didn't, you need to reflect on what you need to change. So what I could potentially do, and this is information, remember I told you guys when you watched that video to note things that could potentially be constraints for your model or things that you could use. So from that model, I saw that if I add another dam in this lower region, I can't really draw a square as I'm doing this, and then add a pump to pump the water back up here, I could increase my water. So because I had this drought, and my dam provides at a capacity of 200. So when it's running with enough water, it will provide electricity for 200. But because I had a drought and I didn't have enough water to keep running, I ended up only being able to provide electricity from my dam for 100. But if I add another dam down here and add a pump, so that once this, if I'm not getting enough water going down my river to provide enough energy, I could add a second dam down here where I could just store that water and then send it back up here in case I need it. So remember, that was one of the ways that they increased the amount of energy they produced or stored their energy. So that's what I decided to do right there. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, that was in the video that you guys watched, I believe, last Wednesday. All right, and then, or another solution that I could reflect on is maybe I should have added more solar panels. So instead of having only 4 solar panels, I could add another 4, and that would give me another 100. So I could leave my dam the way it is. Even though that drought happened, it's still providing electricity for at least 100. Each of these solar panels provides electricity for 25. So I have 100, another 100 right here when I add up those 4. And if I add another 4, I end up producing another 100. So I would be able to have electricity for 300 people. And so I could do that too. So what I want to see today is you reflecting on how this scenario affects your model and what you need to do to improve your model. And when you're done with that, guys, you are done for today. But as always, if you have any questions,